before we
need to take a
start.
break? Oh.
No, I just need to load
No.
up my Mario Pez dispenser.
Is this this a brand deal? Are we sponsored?
Yeah,
No,
we
but I
gotta deal with
figure if
Pez.
I should eat a themed snack.
Like there's a point earlier where Jason drank from his cup while the QT logo was pointed directly at the camera. So I was like, oh, we must
mean
have
Only
a
gets
brand.
paid if it
You
shows
mean
up.
almost every time I've drank from it out of the entire time on purpose?
Yeah, but there's some times where it was like skewed enough to that you couldn't see some of it or something. And I was like, oh, do we have product placement now?
And we are back to talk about our favorite weapon or tool. This is somewhat of a twist on like the best character idea, where this is some kind of item or something that we really, really fucking enjoyed this year. I think there were some pretty good ones this year. I mean, shit, we got a Ratchet and Clank game, which has a lot of cool guns in it that don't make my fucking list whatsoever. But still, it was a good year for weapons or tools. My number 3 is like half a joke, and also like the gameplay ramifications of it are really cool, but it is the gun in Forgotten City.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the Forgotten City, you can pick what is essentially a character class, and one of them is like a mercenary, and it means when you go into the loop, you just have a fucking gun. It has 10 bullets because you're in like ancient Rome. There's no way to get more bullets for it. But you just have a gun and all of the ramifications that brings. And I posted this earlier in the chat so people could see this, but it's not only do you like have a gun and you can shoot characters and stuff, but you get dialogue options for it, where like, it's like the climax of the game and someone's getting ready to kill another person and you can just pull out a gun and shoot the motherfucker. It's wild to me that it is even an option, and I seem to be the only one who picked it. Sean also did not pick the gun and thought I was joking when I said that I had a gun in the game. But you can use it to like shoot a few of the monsters in there. You can use it to kill other characters. It gets you dialogue options. Like, it's a super weird twist on a game that is already handling time travel in this kind of fish out of water story in a very weird way. And I think it is just a really good option for it.
I think I laughed out loud when I saw that was an option to pick, because like the other stuff is like historian. You can understand some of the ancient language spoken. You can read some of the written stuff, and it's like you kind of go in knowing that there's going to be some like mysterious thing going on. So like, oh, that'll be helpful.
No, I took a gun.
Yeah,
gun with 10 bullets.
More than enough bullets.
You can do shit with it where it's like, okay, I'm gonna immediately walk into this and I'm just gonna shoot the fucking emperor. Like, what's happened? What happens if I just fucking shoot the emperor? It's cool. It's like, again, like half kind of a joke that ended up being like a really fun way to enjoy that game.
Yeah, something that they probably thought of as like a joke, but then were clever enough to like actually weave it into the game.
Yeah. Like none of the traits are that super useful in that game anyway. Like, none of them like break the game or anything. But sure, have a gun. Fuck it. Why not?
That's my trait.
Ryan, what's your trait that you pick as your number 3rd?
Okay. I'm going to say it, but you're going to have to bite your tongue for 2 more categories. But the grappling hook from Halo, I think it's a smart thing to have in that game. It's fun to use, even though it took me a while to quite understand how the physics of it worked. But that is a fun thing to have in a first-person shooter, and I think one of the better ones that is shown. This is kind of the year of the grappling hook, and I think Halo has had the best grappling hook.
If you do 3 grappling hooks.
No. Although mine do all kind of have a theme in that I have no weapons, and they are all things used to traverse the environment.
Hey, that's all fine. Why the category is broad. Hunter, what's your number 3?
My number 3 was also the Halo Infinite gravity hook.
Jason, what's your number 3?
It's not that.
Cool.
My number 3 is the topiary sprinkler.
Yeah, that's a
From
pretty good
what?
one.
It's just a dumb, goofy weapon from Ratchet and Clank
Oh.
that turns the bad guys into hedges.
Hell yeah.
It's the game's
Nice.
equivalent to like the mini turret gun. But rather than shooting, machine guns or missiles, it turns them into topiary.
Okay, so
It's like a
Yeah.
sprinkler.
so it's like the sheep.
Yeah, you throw them.
Thingy.
No,
Yeah,
it's got a transformation gun also, but
You
it's
throw
like
it-
you
you
throw
throw it
them
on
on
the
the ground, they
ground.
pop up.
Yeah, just like a plant pops up and it just turns all the bad guys that it shoots into hedges.
I love the transformation guns,
But yeah,
and it's cool
so
that it has two.
topiary gun is pretty good.
And it was surprisingly useful.
It did not make my list ultimately, but there's a pinball gun where you shoot out a pinball and it bounces between enemies and makes the noises and lights up and stuff. But
Hell yeah.
it's all right. My number 2, however, is not the pinball gun. It is not the ricochet. It is so there are certain things within the grander scheme of Metroidvanias that Metroid is known for. Specifically, Metroid is the game what about doing it fast. The games have always cared about you doing it fast. They give you, special endings based on the time it takes you to beat it. So I can think of no better thing to take from a game that actually does have some cool new abilities for Samus than an ability called the Aeon Dash, which
And that's my number 2 too.
it's just this
Choo-choo.
thing you get that
Ooh.
you can just hit a button and just you zip super fast. And the minute you get it, you're like, oh yeah, you could sequence break the fuck with this thing. If you do it in the air, you maintain your horizontal height. And when you're not doing it, just lets you fucking zoom through that game, just zipping all around. A lot of the stages are big wide rooms, so you can just fucking bounce through them really, really quickly. It just feels super good to use, and it also functions as a fucking quick dodge for combat.
Yeah,
You
I was
can
gonna
do
say,
it
I use
up,
it a lot to
down.
just
You
jump
can do it
and
3
dodge
times.
over.
Yeah, you
I
get
just
3
use
charges on it, so it's
I used
pew,
it
pew, pew.
constantly to jump and dodge over the chozos.
Mhm. So it is both something that helps you traverse the environment. It is something that helps you traverse the environment fast as fuck. And it also lets you do cool shit when you're in combat, just avoiding shit. It keeps the pace really, really quick at all times. And it also
Also-
recharges really, really quick.
Yeah, it recharges absurdly quick. But actually it's called the Flash Shift.
Is it not called the Aeon Dash?
No.
Why the fuck did I write that then?
That's just
Oh,
what
well.
you started calling yourself
Yeah.
earlier this year.
I'm
I love
pumped
Final
full of
Fantasy
Aeon.
X.
I'm Aeon Dash.
But yeah, that fucking thing, holy shit. The minute I started using it, it was oh yeah, that's a keeper. But Ryan,
You're
what is your
coming
number
with
2?
me. My number 2, what did I write down?
Which grappling hook did you put?
I actually went with the glider from Sable.
Every category.
Every category. Every category. It's I think it's when the game is running real well, it controls really nicely. It's fun to drive around on. You get to customize it and find different parts throughout the world and make it your own. When the game's running poorly, you're constantly crashing into popping in environmental things, clipping through the ground, doing stuff like that. That part's not as fun. But when it's working well, it's really is a joy to drive around and explore the world.
Second best tool or weapon of the year, works 50% of the time.
I'll also
Yeah, but that's not its fault.
I didn't play that much of that game, but it is a very just good feeling little vehicle.
There's a lot of environmental puzzles that have to do with you kind of cruising around in that thing, and it's fun. I love hopping on it and being
You
like,
can customize it.
Mm-hmm. It's got mine had little like crab legs on the bottom.
Oh, that's nice.
You can put a sick fire decal on it.
You can change the color. There's no stickers, unfortunately, but
Damn.
yeah, you can
Man.
mix up the colors, and they've got some really good weird pastel colors in there.
Well, Hunter, if your second was the Flash Shift, whatever fucking thing. Jason, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is in a game that I did not particularly care for, but they did do one good thing, and that was the grappling hook in Halo Infinite.
Do we want to just do it now?
I mean, if that's your number 1, we might as well.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
grappling hook number 1. Holy fuck.
Hey, it's a
Um,
cool toy that makes a bad game kind of playable.
It's helpful in the campaign, and that's nice and all, but the amount that they need to put in a game type in the multiplayer where you just always have the grappling hook, oh god, I would love that. It's such just a fun, nice little thing in the multiplayer. It's like it also is super cool and like helps traversal in the campaign. It lets you do some fun stuff in the campaign and all sorts of stuff like that. But like it really shines in the multiplayer, both being able to like sneak items away from people, attach to people, zoom in and like punch them, just negotiate around the level and do dumb shit like that. Like it's
I think that's the smart thing they did with it that I think sets it apart from a bunch of other grappling hooks is like you can grapple anywhere and
Mhm.
anything and it reacts in smart ways. It's not just like, oh yeah, there's like one point over here where you can grapple and that's just how you traverse this one part. It's like, no, you can attach to everything, to anyone. You can grab weapons. You can just grab things with it.
it
like
leads
I didn't play very much of the campaign, have not touched the multiplayer, so maybe it's fun. I couldn't be convinced to give two shits about that campaign as soon as it went open world. And I just looked at the map. It's like, oh, I'm gonna drive over there and save a few computer characters. Oh, I'm gonna drive over there and save a few computer characters. I've played Far Cry before. I don't need to play this one.
My favorite mission was when Halo burned a bunch of pot leaves.
I think
Flamethrower.
in like some of the fortresses in the campaign, being able to like use the hook to negotiate around them, it just leads it. Honestly, it makes it feel
Yeah.
like more like Doom or something.
No, the
Mhm.
grappling hook. The grappling hook made me play it as long as I did because it did make moving around, climbing up to the top of buildings. Like it was very good. It's one of the better grappling hooks I can think of ever using in a game. And
It also like
I agree that like the fact that you can like shoot it at anything is very, very, very good.
it also like it has a very reliable rule set to the point that like it sometimes fucks you in multiplayer where like if you accidentally like hook on like if I'm jumping over a gorge and then like this has happened to me. I have like tried to jump over and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grappling hook onto the bridge in front of me, but I accidentally grab like a gun on the ground. So I'm like over a cliff, jump, magnet the gun to me, and then I just fall to my death. And it's like it's like it feels bad, but also I can't help but laugh.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
there were
good times all the time.
there were times in the amount that I played where like you could save yourself and do some pretty dumb shit with it.
Mhm.
Like if you're falling off a cliff, it times out enough that if you just look up and just spam the grappling hook button,
Yeah.
you will eventually climb up and get back to safety, which is just like completely unnecessary because I could probably die and respawn faster, but I'm not going
But
to.
it's
if I can do
fun.
that instead.
It's fun. Grappling hooks are cool. I think that this is one of the better ones I've ever used, but the ramifications it has for multiplayer, like maybe the multiplayer like wouldn't work as well, but I would love at least a lobby where everyone always has a grappling hook.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Um,
still need to fuck with the multiplayer because I didn't
Me too.
even
Yeah,
really
you do.
consider that being in there. I'm horrible at Halo. I
Yeah,
played one
it's-
round of it.
It's still just fun. Well, we'll get there. But yeah, my number one's the grapple shot. Ryan, what is your number one, if not a grapple shot?
Yeah. I did not think that in the year of 2021 at 31 years old that I would have a new dream car. But that car is a Countach painted like a Dixie cup.
I also have this car.
Playing Forza 5, and they have some like pre-painted kits in there for the car, and they have one that makes it look like a
Dixie cup.
fucking Dixie cup. I showed so many people this fucking car because I took a picture on my phone, and like people who don't even care. It's like, I mean, people rarely care when I'm telling them things, but this was like, no, listen, look at this car. It's awful but amazing. Like
You sent it to me, and then I immediately went and bought one.
yeah,
It's incredible.
there are games that came out this year that they tried to be funny and nothing was quite as funny as seeing that fucking drink cup Countach sitting in the shop.
And then
So
you can
that's
explode it out, blow the doors open.
Oh yeah,
It's-
but that is my number one traversal tool of
Looks
the
like a
year.
low poly fucking PS1 car to begin with.
It's the only car I even drive in that game anymore. Like I'm sure there's stuff in there that I could win races with more easily.
That's the thing, though. That's the beauty of Forza Horizon is you can kind of tune any car to do anything, so
Mhm.
you can kind of just keep doing it. But Hunter, what is your number one? What is your Dixie Cup of the year?
My number one is from Smith 5. They added a new thing in this game called Magasuhi skills,
Oh,
And,
yeah, I
uh,
did some of those.
which it is a gauge that builds up depending on your actions and what happens during the battle, and when it's
It's an
full.
ult. It lets you pop an ult.
Yeah, it's essentially an ult, but each
Oh,
race
like a
in
Mega
the
Evolution?
class,
Yeah.
kind of. Each race in the game has a different skill. So like some of them, they buff all your party members to max for 3 turns. Some of them, it's like a party-wide heal. The one that I use the most is one that you start the game with, which turns all of your attacks into
Yeah.
a critical hit.
That
Which-
like there
that
are
is
other
paired
ones,
with the
but that's
system.
incredible.
Yeah, that's paired with the battle system where if you hit an enemy's weakness or you get a critical hit, you get another turn. Up
Oh,
to
shit.
4
Yeah.
extra turns.
Yeah, and
So-
you can do insanely long turns with it by just like chaining stuff effectively.
Yeah, and it affects your whole party, so it turns your whole party into guaranteed crits until the enemy's next turn. So you get 8 moves that turn as long as you don't miss.
So here's the other thing about it: the enemies get it.
Yeah, the enemies
Oh, God.
also get it.
Yes. And the enemies will get nothing but crits and get extra turns as well.
And there are
That
enemies
sounds like
where
some
like
Smit bullshit.
and there are enemies that like there's only 2 of them, but each one gets like 2 or 3 turns each. So then if they pop that, then you're looking at like 6 extra turns.
Yeah, like if you can't run or finish out the battle by the time the enemy pops that, like like there's a decent chance they're just gonna wipe you right there. And yeah, there are other
Well,
ones
good. I
in
got
the
a poopy
game.
bottom.
There's other ones in the game. I never really fucked with any of them except the crit one because it's like, how can it be more useful than this?
Like some of them are all right. Like there's some that like deal a shit ton of unblockable damage that's based on your level and stuff like that. But yeah, the critical one's just the most useful.
I like if you're playing on a harder difficulty, maybe the other ones like make more sense at certain parts, but just double turns, like you can clear basically any encounter except for like some of the boss encounters with that. But yeah, that's a cool thing to put in a JRPG. But Jason, what is your coolest thing to put in a JRPG?
Nothing, because I don't play those.
The Halo
Um,
Infinite grappling hook.
Hey,
Yeah, could you
But-
imagine?
So my number one, since it was a while since I played the game, I originally wrote the nail gun, but then I went back and like looked it up, and I was like, oh no, man, he just fucking slangs that shit, and it's
oh
just
yeah, he
nail.
throw the fucking
He just javelins the nails, and that and It Takes Two, and that is
Yeah.
just a thoroughly enjoyable.
the God of War Leviathan
Yeah.
nail.
Like
That part's really fun.
And it's just like a bendy nail, and then you like whistle them back to you.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
Ryan
you,
got
you
the
can
nails.
do it.
Because they
Yeah.
they respond to whistles.
Yeah, fucking Yandu
See-
Danta motherfucker.
Sees Guardians of the Galaxy one time.
Like
Bases
Yeah,
his
I-
personality around it.
I did not get the nails, unfortunately.
Did you guys switch, or did you
No,
just stay one
Xbox One.
character?
No, we stuck with the whole thing.
Yeah,
I was
I played as the dude the whole time.
when
so
we
I
played
haven't played
Beyond
the latest
Two
stuff.
Souls. I was the girl, so I was the girl in this as well.
Hmm
Didn't get to kiss any boys this time though.
Nah, but
No, you do
like,
at the end.
They do like they give both of them cool shit pretty much throughout the game. Like it's
Mhm. No, I felt like it was a really good balance
Hmm
of like this person's thing is a little cooler or harder on this level, and then the next level would be flipped.
Yeah, I gotta admit I was jealous of the matchstick gun instead of just the honey.
Yeah.
Matchstick Gun was good. Not having to fly the plane was fun. Oh well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But yeah,
Fun
those
game.
are our weapons and tools. A couple shout outs to Havoc and Deathloop, which, if you can imagine an arcane game, Havoc is a thing that you can put on one person and then it like infects to all of the other enemies in the area. And then if you kill any one of those enemies, all the other ones instantly die. So
That's
it's like-
just a power from Dishonored too.
I mean, sure, but it's fucking cool. It's cool as fuck. And then I did call it the Ricochet gun from Ratchet and Clank. Also, my car in Forza this year, I normally a car actually makes my top 3, but there's an electric Porsche in that game that it feels like someone like fucked up the stats or something.
They
because
had to have.
It
Yeah.
goes, its stats are like perfect. Like it will go like 300 miles an hour, stop on a dime, do turns perfectly. Where it's like, why the fuck is this car so good?
I spent a
Um,
whole day finding all the jumping spots and using that car from as far back as I could.
Yeah,
And so I was just going through and making sure I beat Dash's record on all those.
Fuck
and sending
you.
him the pictures.
but yeah, it's just like, did someone fuck up with this car? Because it seems way too good.
No, Porsche just paid a lot of money.
But there's also like you can get the initial D car in it, and that's what I'm driving mostly now. It
Can you
fucking
play
kicks ass.
Eurobeat in the game?
No, but every car has like these challenges associated with it, and in Forza Horizon 4, they were just kind of all named the same shit, but in this one, they're all specific to the cars. So the challenges for this one are all initial D references, and that's kind of fun.
Is there a glove tape death match one or something?
There's one that's gas, gas, gas.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my honorable mentions, I guess. But if nobody has any other honorable mentions, we will draw this category to a close. And you can join us next time where we talk about the best games that were not released in 2021. We will
that
see
we
you then.
played.
That we played.
A lot of them were better than games I did play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played some. Well,
Yeah.
my problem is I went with some like all-time classics as
I
just
played
stuff to
Last
play
of Us
this year.
Part 2.
Oof.
I said all-time classics.
Oh well, we'll see you then.
It won Goaty once.